Hi, it's Dr. Tina Churchill, innovator in health and wellness. Take 2. So this time I think I'll leave the title out until I'm finished the video, and then I'll post the title afterwards, because the last video I just spent 30 minutes doing was a little choppy. So I appreciate if the video quality is not good this time, Jackie, just let me know early and I'll stop it and maybe try something different. But the title of the last video was If Bill Gates Was a Surfer. I don't know if that somehow affected the quality of the video, but I'm going to post that title after. But if Bill Gates was a surfer, how would our health destiny be different? Well, if you look at Mr. Gates, he has a forward head carriage. So he has a big hump on his back. And what that does neurologically is it puts us into a primitive brain, or a reptilian brain, which is back here. So the reptilian brain is more reactive and it's more self-centered. Where if we have neutral head posture, you're working from your frontal cortex, which again is an area that's more service-oriented, humanitarian. You see the world as a more loving place. It's more global in its perception. So the position of your head affects, your perception of the world. So surfing, when you're on a surfboard, you're lifting your head, and so the quality is good, Jackie? Yeah? So the quality, when you're on a surfboard, you're lifting your head and you're moving your arms and you're checking for the waves, so you're strengthening the posterior neck muscles. And those muscles help keep your head in a neutral position. Chiropractors can help you with that too. And if you're right now suffering, call your chiropractor, because they will go out and treat you in emergency, and they have kind of approval for that because it takes the stress off any of the medical systems. So chiropractic is really important because it helps take you out of sympathetic, fight or flight, and bring you into kind of your parasympathetic, which is where your body heals and rests and digests and supports your immune system. So that's important. If Bill Gates was a surfer, he would appreciate the beauty of the sun, right? You would love to see the sun as a surfer. And perhaps he wouldn't be pumping chemicals into the sky to try to block the sun. This is a part of his new experiments. So, any 3-year-old would understand that if you block the sun, it's going to affect our life on the planet. So they're doing it under the guise of this global warming, which again itself has many different problems. But shooting chemicals into the air, chemtrails, are not a good idea for the planet or for our people. So he was a surfer, maybe he wouldn't do that. Second thing, if he's paddling in the water, he would appreciate the beauty of the water, right? How it's not polluted, and the coral reef and the plants and the animals in the water. And he would understand that by putting chemicals into our food and our water and to our babies and our people and into our skies, it affects people, but it also affects planetary life. So if Bill Gates was a surfer, I really think our health destiny would be different. Maybe he would fall in love with the planet, with the earth as an extension of himself. Because if you are in love with yourself, you can't hurt other people. You can't hurt the planet. If he was in love with himself, I don't think he would send those HPV vaccines to paralyze all those kids in India. And if he was in love with himself, I don't think he'd be testing this corona vaccine in Africa and killing the first 7 kids that he gave it to. You wouldn't be able to do that, right? You wouldn't be able to use kids as guinea pigs if you loved yourself and you loved the world. So if Bill Gates was a surfer, life would be different. Now, maybe you didn't find that very funny. So if you didn't find it funny, just sort of stop right now and smile. Because, your smiling helps deliver chemicals to your brain. It tricks your brain into thinking you're happy, and you eventually feel happy just by smiling and coming into your heart. Humor really does that. It tricks your brain so you can fall into your heart. And you cut closer then to the ground and the Sherman resonance, this 7.8 frequency of the earth, which is the same frequency that our DNA is vibrating. Now, the further you get away from the earth, into your high rise maybe, like helium, the further up you go, the more dysfunctional you become, the more you start acting like a Muppet. So coming back to the earth, and that frequency is really healing for our bodies. And the way out of this kind of crisis situation of anxiety and fear is really through our heart. It's getting rid of those anxieties and connecting to a heart space of kind of love and gratitude for where we are. That's really heaven on earth, right? Love and gratitude. And last week I had cabin fever. I started to go bananas because I was listening and answering emails and going through all the studies and reading all I could, and I just had to take a break. So I took a break. I went outside, played with my dog, gathered up the sun, started jumping on my rebounder to help balance my brain and the inner parts of my nervous system. I fasted for a few days, gathered enough energy for 3 or 4 days, and then I got back on the computer, opened it up, and I thought, okay, now I need to do something. I've cleaned and manicured everything in my space and everything on me. Now I need to bring out my service, greater service to the world, to do something. You know, my friend Howard, who I'm really grateful for, and thank you for the New Testament that he sent and the book President's Maker. It's a good balance. On the end of each email, he says, he has a quote by Albert Einstein, and it says, "The world is not destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them and do nothing." So it's really important right now for you to take up a cause, not just for the planet, but for yourself, because you drive yourself bananas if you don't have an inspired action. So after I got back from my sabbatical from Facebook, and that reminds me, if I don't answer you right away, it's just because I needed to kind of take a break for myself. You know, I got a lot of messages that come in, and if you really don't want to be my friend, just delete me. You know, you don't have to send me the hate mail and why am I talking about this and what's this and what's, you know, if you don't want to hear it, just delete me. I have about 2,000 people wanting to be friends and wanting to communicate with these issues, and that's inspiring for me to deal with other people that are inspiring. If you don't want a part in the plan, that's fine. I wish you all the best, but you know, take your energy somewhere else, please. Thank you. But if you really love love this idea of creating an inspired mission and a movement together, I love you and I want you to be here. So thank you for being here today. All these people, John and Scott and Suthar, really thank you for being here. So I got back on my computer and I wrote emails. First email was to Mr. Bill Gates, and then I wrote an email to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, all the MLAs in Nova Scotia, the member of Legislature Assembly, the Chief Medical Officer, the Health Minister, the Premier. I wrote my two favorite reporters in the media, which are Michael Gorman and Bruce Frisco, and two of my favorite people on the City Council, and my favorite MP, Andy Fillmore, and really help educate them into what's happening, because I think they're fed just what's happening in the mainstream media too. So I wrote an article on my blog. I did that that week too. Healthtruth.blog, about the scam of this coronavirus. Yes, the virus is real, but yes, it's a man-made virus the patent owned by Mr. Bill Gates, the same guy who's wanting to sell us the vaccine, the antivirus for that. So this is important information because it helps you choose your path forward. If you think this just came from a rat, bat, or cat, you might be tempted to have an injection. But if you know the same guy that's buying and paying and getting profit for the injection actually created the virus, you might have a different perspective on the scenario, which is why I wrote the article and why I shared it with all those people. And then last night I was really inspired. Renetta, who's a mother of a vaccine-injured child, or maybe even children in Newfoundland, connected with me and said, that letter that you wrote to Justin Trudeau about the lockdown and everything, maybe we should start a petition. And I said, that's a great idea. But right now I'm just up to my ears in emails and trying to connect with people. But I said, if you can start it, I'll help you with it. I'll help you promote it. So she put together this beautiful petition that explains why the lockdown is not really a health practice at this time. And the only way to exterminate this coronavirus is really to allow people to get sick. And there's Sweden, has not participated in this quarantine, and they're finding socially, physically, economically, they're more balanced through this coronavirus. What happens if you don't allow people to get sick? You're preventing people from getting sick. It actually lengthens the duration of this epidemic. And so this is what we're seeing now. I mean, never in history have we ever tried this social distancing experiment on a healthy population, right? It used to be if someone is sick, you quarantine them. If you have TB or some disease, you quarantine the sick. But quarantine the healthy to keep them healthy makes no sense. right? Our immune system is meant to be challenged. Our immune system is meant to be strong. If we don't challenge, if you have a plant that you never provide any challenge for, it wilts and dies. The trees that are out in the wind and in the snow, and these are the trees and the plants that survive and are hardy and healthy. So we need to expose ourselves to these viruses to stimulate our immune system. And even though it's a man-made strain, we can handle it. Our immune systems can. I'll give you some statistics on that in just a second. So this video is really inspired by that petition, because I'd really like you to have a look at it and understand that we don't want to consent to being held into our homes. It is not in keeping with a scientific paradigm of epidemiology. And we've talked about the researchers and the research that show that. And the country is a living example. Sweden is a living example of that. That the social distancing is creating more stress in our bodies. We need to socially communicate to stimulate our vagus nerve, which helps balance our nervous system, and the nervous system controls our immune system. The social distancing is creating more stress and more anxiety with financial issues and just not being with our family and friends and our activities and our exercise. So the whole idea of a lockdown, locking healthy people in their homes to keep them healthy until a vaccine is released, is ludicrous. So we need to stand up for that. We can feel victimized and stay in our homes and be stressed and fearful, or we can stand up and we can say, we do not consent to this. This is not good science. You see, the same mentality that's locking healthy people in their homes is the same mentality that's wanting healthy people to be injected with chemicals that not only contain heavy metals and all sorts of other things that 157 studies show cause autism and Alzheimer's in older adults and all sorts of other things. We have fetal cells that cause cancer and viruses, retroviruses from monkeys and mouse and rats and cats that give us all sorts of diseases. There's a lot of issues to that, but the philosophy is what we need to look at. The philosophy that we need a chemical injection to keep us well is erroneous. It's false. So it's a paradigm that was developed by vaccine companies to make money. So a lot of people that are watching this already know that, but in case you don't know, the viral illnesses, infectious illnesses were on a natural decline before the vaccines were even introduced. The pharmaceutical companies just took credit for it. I think this is what they're trying to do now with corona. They want to keep us locked in, and then they're going to claim the corona vaccine is what helped. But if you look at the article, scroll down the page, the article will show you that kids are dying right now who are being tested on. They're guinea pigs in Africa because of this corona vaccine. So have a look at that. Now I've lost my train of thought. Fear. So media tries to create fear. But I do want to give credit and thank you to Global News for putting out this article February 4th. It was brilliant. 5 things more likely to kill you than corona in Canada. So these are Canadian statistics, and they're 2019. So cancer. In 2018, 80,000 people died of cancer. In the second thing most likely to kill you in Canada would be cardiovascular disease. 5,300 Canadians died of cardiovascular disease in 2018. Now let me just jump back. That's number 2. Let's go back to the Canadian statistics that I just got this morning, updated about an hour ago from Health Canada. 569 people have died of coronavirus, or what they call coronavirus. 6,000 people, 6,013 have recovered. So the whole idea of if it's corona or not is also up for debate, because the tests that they're using are not really accurate, and they give a lot of false positives. So who knows? That could be people dying of cold or flu. But anyway, let's get back to the story. 569 have died of corona. 80,000 last year, 2018, died of cancer. 53,000 of cardiovascular. 13,300 people died of motor vehicle accident in the year 2018. 8,500 died of flu, and 3,811 actually died of suicide. So again, right now we're only at 569. Now granted, we haven't really reached our peak yet because we're all in our homes, we're not being exposed, it's sort of flattened out. But what we will see is, even if we triple it, well, more than that, actually. I don't know. I mean, 8,000 people died of flu, and we only have 569 right now of corona. So what I'm just trying to show you is that it's not as fearful as what they're making it out to be. And that article on healthtruth.blog, if you scroll down, will give you what a virus is. Virus is just a genetic material. It's not even alive. And, there's some question of how we can actually contract it. Many people say it needs to be injected because the virus injects itself into our cells. So healthtruth.blog, have a read over that article because I do reference, and I spent a lot of time kind of referencing it and reading and videos that almost drove me bananas, but trying to get the correct information in order to share with the people I love. Which is you. Thank you for being here. Lisa, again, hi. Lisa, is the quality a bit better this time? Bethany, thanks for being here. Faye. So the bottom line is 569 deaths of corona when, most years we have about 8,000 deaths of flu in Canada. So there's the statistics. So take that fear away. The next big fear is financial, right? Where a lot of people are in financial hardship right now, and I feel for you, really. If you scroll down the page, Revenue Canada has assistance available, and you can sign up and you can get money right now to help you through these tough times. I also watched a documentary series, or watching it currently actually, and it's with Patrick Gentempo, and it's the Crisis Investing 2020. And the first interview was of an economist, a United States economist who I really like, Paul Zane Pilsner. And he says, this economy crash it's going to recover. It's not like a depression that comes down slowly and then needs a lot of time to come up. This one came down quickly, like a V. And he says it'll go up just as fast on the other side once we're through this crisis. So he advises, keeping in contact with your customers, offering different services. So my belly dance class and my yoga classes now are online. Yay! They're looking at ways to modify and just keep connected with your customers. Office what service you can. Do whatever you can that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise when your clients are there. Cleaning, painting, repairs. And again, understanding that you'll have to take a financial loss, but it will benefit you on your taxes, right? You can account for that on your taxes, and it'll save you taxes in the next year. And then you take whatever services you can now and whatever help you can financially just to keep afloat until this thing turns around. And when it goes out, you'll have all your customers, you'll have all your business there that'll be that will be anxious and eager and happy and grateful for your service. So just let them know that you're there and you're going to be there for them. When this is over. So financial. So the fear of finances, the fear of death is the big two that, they play on. And you've probably had your phone, emergency alert, stay home. I mean, if you weren't scared enough already, how scary is it to get this emergency alert on your phone? So that brings me to some of the blessings I think we should look for in this crisis, because there's a lot happening on many different levels that we can't see. And the first thing maybe is to look up at the sky and notice that I haven't seen any chemtrails in the last month. If you don't know what that is, email me and I'll send you some information on it. But basically, these elite people are spraying chemicals in the sky, and there's lots of different reasons for it, but heavy metals can affect us and the planet in profound ways. But this is clear because now all the criminals have been detained too. Isn't that great? So the homicides have gone down, the motor vehicle accidents have gone down. So as we're staying home in our homes, we're seeing benefits, in other areas. And I was really grateful to hear the news last week about the kids that were rescued from the tunnels in New York. So there's an alliance of 18, I think, the United Nations countries. This is in the article too, healthtruth.blog, that are coming together to rid our planet of some of this darkness. And the elite pedophiles in our world have experiments happening with humans, and they use child trafficking businesses and have these underground tunnels. It's quite sick and demented, so I don't want to dwell on that. But I just want to thank President Trump and that alliance at the United Nations for saving those kids. And because the streets were clear, because the hospitals were clear, it allowed them to provide services for these kids. Oh my goodness. Okay, maybe I shouldn't talk about that. My phone just fell down. Okay, enough about that. Let's say the economy too has been balanced, right? Can you still hear me and see me? Someone give me a thumbs up if my connection's still good here. Okay, so the economy has been balanced and kind of reset in a different way. And this is challenging right now, but it's going to turn around for us on the other end. And countries in Europe have been gathering as part of this alliance to bankrupt these, corrupt elitists. That's why the prices of gas have gone down. Again, I talk about that in the article, and some of the information from that I got from David Wilcox's video, which was 5 hours long. It was hard to get through, but I took what I could from that and I put it into that article. So that article that I wrote on healthtruth.blog has a lot of information in there for you that took me a time to collect, and it won't take you as long to read it. It is long, but the articles and references are in the blue link so you can click through. But again, I just want to make sure that I promote this petition. So the petition is to eradicate the coronavirus by lifting the lockdown, allowing people a natural immunity like we do with other cold and flu viruses, to take away the fear that the media is creating about death and wearing masks. I watched a video last night with Judy Merkovitz, and I think I'll post that one, or if someone's watching and knows about that video. She says actually wearing masks and people inside is really what's going to kill people instead of the coronavirus. So we need to be educating the public with good information. Just going to take a minute. Hi, Arlene, my cousin Arlene. Nice to see you. Glad you're healing well. And Jerk says there's no way to stop the virus. Only slow it down to protect hospitals from overwhelming. Yes, great point. I mean, we can't hide out with a mask on in the house forever. And Prime Minister Justin Trudeau had said in an article that he wants to do that until the vaccine is released. That's crazy, right? I mean, we need to kind of get it naturally. What else is going to be in that vaccine? And I talk about that a little bit in the article too, but tracking and nanobots and heavy metals and, again, cells from other animals and cells from other humans in aborted fetal cells. You just have to look at the vaccine insert to kind of see what damage it is, and to know that there's no double-blind inert placebo-controlled studies to support the safety or efficacy. So that's something that you might want to look at before you inject something, is to ask to see the ingredient list and know what the side effects are. But anyway, the petition is really not about that. The petition is about removing the lockdown because we trust in the immune system and the power of our immune system to help heal. And we know historically that it hasn't worked, right? I mean, what we do historically is to quarantine the sick, not to quarantine the healthy. To keep them healthy. It doesn't make sense. So I ask you to have a look at that petition. Again, if you don't feel good signing a petition, I had a lot of, comments about that too, then, do something else. You can write to your prime minister, you can write to your MLA, you can write to your member of parliament, you can write to your school. You can talk about the dangers of 5G. This is another thing. Rogers Now is rolling out, I think in Toronto, even like right now, like this week, this 5G technology. This is something you should know about. There's another article on my blog. If you type in the search engine 5G, it will bring you to another article. But this 5G technology, and fifth generation, it's a cellular technology. It's not going to up to 5 gigabytes. It's actually 95 gigahertz is what the frequency is going to be. Bombarding your cells, 90 billion times with this frequency. And it's a military wave. It's a small wave. So this is something else that's overlaid upon this coronavirus. Some people aren't recognizing it, but Wuhan was the first place in China to roll out this 5G. And it also affects the oxygen uptake in your hemoglobin. So it gives you respiratory symptoms. That could be mistaken for coronavirus. So the 5G technologies are really important, and you can educate your schools. So learn about it, bring it to your PTA, let them know. We don't want this in our schools because it affects most growing kids have cells that are dividing faster, so they're more susceptible to this radiation. So if we're trying to keep the radiation out of our homes, we definitely want to keep it out of our schools and our daycares and our hospitals. So you can still use Wi-Fi, but at a lower frequency. Even that, use cell phones. We know that there's brain tumors more on the side that you're using your cell phone. But imagine, being bombarded, and what they are planning to do is put these antenna every 500 feet, so they'll be on the telephone poles. So in essence, your house or your dwelling will be right next to a cellular tower. And when they did this in the Netherlands, when they start putting up these 5G cellular towers, 250 birds fell out of the sky, 259 birds fell out of the sky, with the radiation. So this is a serious concern. So again, if you don't want to sign our petition, that's fine. Do something else. Do something, that's inspiring, that's going to help our planet and our humanity, and help focus your brain away from the emotion and fear that they're driving into us right now. I don't know if they have any questions. I don't know if I covered everything. Doing it the second time, it's kind of like, I just want to thank Renetta again in Newfoundland for putting together that petition. It came to us last night. She said, do you think this is a good idea? I said, yes, if you do it, I'll help kind of with the copy and promote it. And also a shout out to another Newfoundland young mother who has vaccine injured children, Charlene Blake, who put together another petition about no mandates. So if any is listening, you can put both petitions up on the blog, and I'm going to put the link to it on the top. Maybe I'll leave off the title, If Bill Gates Were a Surfer, and the video might have better quality this time. So again, I just want to wish happy Easter, happy spring, grateful blessings, Passover, whatever is your belief system, to this time of new life, new renewal, and new hope. To you and your family, inviting you to reach for the stars, envision and achieve your personal best, and most of all, enjoy the journey. This is Dr. Dina Churchill signing out. Namaste.